Going on, everybody? Another 2-minute drill on 1520, The Ticket. I'm Scotty Matthews along with Frank Spates. So I didn't know you 4 years ago. This is the first time we can actually sit down and talk seriously about the Olympics. What have you thought so far, man?
I love the Olympics.
I do too.
I always have. I think back, I think my first memories were 1980, Winter Olympic Games. I was a little kid watching the hockey with my dad when the USA beat the the former Soviet Union in that semifinal to get to the gold medal game. To me, one of the greatest Olympic sports moments ever was that victory, and that's something that I always remember hanging out on the couch with my dad watching that hockey game as a little kid. I wasn't even a hockey fan, and it didn't matter. It was such a big deal.
That's so cool. That's such a cool memory to have, too. My earliest memories, now, I didn't get into Olympics when I was really young. I remember watching the Dream Team in 92 with Bird and Magic.
Yeah, the first time the pros could play, and we put on a show in 92.
That was fun, but my real memories were 96 with Carrie Strug and the injury and stuff like that. I remember watching that live going, oh my God, how is she going to finish?
Yeah.
What happens next? And I was just glued to the screen, and when she nailed her dismount, wow. I mean, that's when I was hooked, right then and there in 96.
It's amazing. I mean, you think about it's so special because it only happens every 4 years, and these people train in whatever their sport is, right? I mean, they train with really the Olympics in mind. I mean, sure, there's world championships, there's other stuff, but there's nothing like the Olympics. And for most athletes, you might only get one or maybe two chances if you're lucky. So it's one of those things of you're training your whole life for basically a minute or a few minutes or a couple of games, depending on what your sport is, but you're putting a lifetime of effort into 2 weeks worth of activity.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It's so crazy. And what's crazy going on now is with Michael Phelps.
I know. It is incredible, isn't it? I mean, he was done. 2012 after London, he was done, right? And all of a sudden, 2 years later, he starts thinking, maybe I'm not done. And I was reading a really great article about how he kind of had lost himself, and he was having some struggles with some substance abuse issues and got himself cleaned up. And a lot of his issues initially were because, that's all he had done his whole life was swimming, right? And so that thing which was his thing suddenly became more of an enemy than a friend for a while. And he had to find that passion, that love again. I love the fact that he's still out there this time, just tearing it up.
And at a high level.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't slowed down a bit.
Right. He's got, as of right now, 21 gold medals. He's going again. He's got a few more chances to add to his gold medal count.
You want to talk about must-see TV. He's it.
Yeah, for sure.
Another group that's having fun, too, are the U.S. Gymnastics women's team. I mean, with Allie Raceman and, Gabby Douglas and Simone Biles, all them girls, they're on top of their game, and they're ruling the floor right now.
Yeah, Simone Biles is looking great. Raceman's looking good. Gabby Douglas. I mean, that whole group, what a great story, right? I mean, they win the Olympic gold. I was talking about this with you a little bit off air. The quote controversy of Gabby Douglas not putting her hand over her heart for the national anthem.
Ridiculous.
How ridiculous is that? I mean, seriously. Everybody has different ways that they honor their country, right? I mean, I see people, right, hands over your heart. I see people salute. I see people that just simply put their hands behind their back and bow their heads. I mean, what difference does it make how you do it? How lucky are we to live in a country where those are the kind of things that we have people that feel they have to get upset about? It's frustrating me. I mean, to me, in some respects, I feel like social media is ruining the Olympics in a few different ways. First of all, I wish Facebook didn't feel like they had to share everything that was happening in real time if I want to watch it when I get home. It's hard to watch something when you already know the results. For me anyway, I mean, whether it's an Olympic event, whether it's a football game, whatever the case may be, if I already know the score, it takes a lot of the fun of watching out of it.
Does.
All the intensity is gone then.
I think we're lucky this time around with Rio, because wasn't it when it was in Athens and even the last one in London? I mean, that's a good 12, 13 hours ahead of us. So while we're sleeping, that's happening. And by the time we wake up and want to watch, the reruns and everything else happening, we already know the results.
Right.
That is, if you hopped online or on Twitter or anything else, it's like, well, that kind of takes the fun out of it.
Yeah,
But right now, they're only 2 hours ahead. So we're lucky in that aspect, at least for this year's Olympics.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we're going to see live. I mean, like this week, right, a lot of the swimming events, the semifinals, finals, they've all been live. But the gymnastics, I've talked to a couple people that were really bummed because social media shared what the results were of some of the gymnastics stuff when these people were really excited to watch it.
I agree. So might be a silly question to ask, but what event are you most looking forward to here in the next week or so?
I'm looking forward to the track and field stuff starting. I love the track and
I
field
do too.
events.
I was hoping you'd bring that up.
Yeah, I ran track in high school. I got a brother who was a big-time track athlete in high school, college. I'm looking forward to that. I love the track. I like the swimming, especially the way the U.S. is dominated is awesome. I mean, we've won so many medals in the swimming venue. But at the same time, it's like after a while, it's like, okay, I'm ready for the track and field. The sprints, and it's just fun to watch.
I just love stuff, looking forward to this weekend. I love the archery. I love the shot put. I like all that kind of little stuff that's not in the mainstream spotlight. You know what I mean? Just
Definitely.
like those little events, because those athletes deserve just as much as attention. They're the best at what they do.
Right.
So even those little minor events, it's not the sexy stuff like the gymnastics and the swimming, and like you said, track and field will get their day in the sun too. But I like watching those little events too, because it's always just kind of fun.
Yeah, right. And even stuff like the water polo and the team handball and stuff that's not a big deal in most of our country. Field hockey. I mean, those fringe sports in the U.S. that in Europe are huge. And yeah, it's fun to see these teams that are so legit at those things come in and rock it,
No doubt. Well, as of right now, as of this time of our recording, we're sitting at the top of the medal count with 32. No doubt we're going to build on that later tonight with Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte swimming. So let's just keep watching and have some fun. Yeah.
There's always those expectations that we're going to finish top of the medal count. We're setting up really nicely this time again for it. So, but I just love to watch, even when it's not U.S. athletes, like you say, when you're watching a sport and you're watching the best in the world, wherever they might be from, totally must-see TV.
Oh, man, you're so right. Must-see TV it is. Well, I'm Scotty Matthews. We're going to stop it right there with another 2-minute drill here on 1520 The Ticket. If you haven't already, like us on Facebook, 1520 The Ticket, and all local stories, nothing but at 1520theticket.com. Frank, we'll talk to you next time, pal.
Sounds good. Go USA.
USA.